Today we're going to show you 5 underrated books that can propel your success, wealth, income in life. Now, I've already been pitching certain books over the years that have now become much more popular, like Made in America by Sam Walton, which is about how he built Walmart from one store into this multi-billion empire and potentially the largest income that a family has ever held, a single family, the Walton family. If you add them all up on the Forbes billionaire list, they have more net worth than any other person or family. Now, here's some more that I don't think people really give the time of day or are aware about. Let's start with this one right here. This is called Made in Japan, kind of going along the theme of Made in America here. But instead of a American, we're talking about the founder of Sony. So there you go. That's one that's really interesting. Here's another one. For me, success has been perceived as difficult. It's hard. It's tough. I mean, look at this. I've made over 2,000 videos on my YouTube channel and still only have relatively small amount of subscribers. Well, according to the founder of Chick-fil-A, it's easier to succeed than to fail. Now that's counterintuitive, right? What a nice click-worthy title. And look how thin the book is. I mean, you could get through this in a fairly short time. I mean, Chick-fil-A is probably one of the most successful fast food brands of the last decade at least. And I know some of you don't like it because they are against homosexuality, but that's neither here nor there. We're just talking about success and what you can glean from it, not like political or religious views. But this is just a very interesting book, and you can't deny the success of Chick-fil-A. Okay, that was 2. Let's go on to number 3. Here we have Finish Big. Now, speaking of successful fast food brands, what about Subway here, okay? This is by Fred DeLuca, the co-founder of Subway, probably another massively successful fast food brand that often gets overlooked. There's so much you can learn about business success, life success, or just business success, really, from this book. I mean, you want to learn from the best, not some random internet millionaire who's trying to sell you a course. Learn from a guy who's built a brand that the world recognizes, like Subway or Sony, okay? So that's 3. Here's one that, for all the creatives and artists and musicians out there, Talks with Great Composers. So this is highly underrated. It has some of the prodigies of music in here and interviews and conversations with them. Brahms, Puccini, Strauss, and many others. I think Beethoven is briefly profiled in here too. Now here is the premise of this book, which is incredibly fascinating, okay? This guy, this author, he was like, back in like the 1890s, he was like, I gotta figure out what makes successful musicians. Now, back in those days, it was not common to compile this list, and it was actually almost barred against. What I mean by that is some of these composers, I think Brahms was one of them, he was like, you're not allowed to publish my secrets until I've died and 100 years have passed. So, that was the sentiment back in the day. It wasn't about how it is now, about sharing all the secrets of success, where it's easy to get successful people on a podcast. No, this was a guy who went through all the lengths back in a time when it was not so common to obtain any advice, let alone secrets of successful people. And if you do, you can't even publish them for 100 years. So here's the last one. Gonna shout out Noah Kagan, How I Lost $170 Million. He was number 30 at Facebook. Did some things that were not, I wouldn't say savory is the right word. They weren't like terrible things, but he just didn't think them through. And I think he published something that he wasn't supposed to publish yet until the launch day, and everyone knew. But point is, you can study. Look how thin this is too. Like, easy read. You don't have to be intimidated by length. easy read, and you can learn a lot from other people's failures so you don't make the same mistake if you're in those situations. There's actually a lot of books like this that I've read. There's one called How I Lost $1 Million, How I Lost XYZ. And then there's chapters in other books I've read, like there's this one profiling a gang member who went on to become a multimillionaire. And there's a chapter in there about how he lost a lot of money, millions too, because of one business mistake he made. So those are the lessons you can learn from these people from reading it. Now, you might be saying like, well, I'll never be number 30 at a tech company that becomes a multi-billion-dollar brand. How is that really going to help me? And you're right. But I think it's not necessarily about that specific example. You probably may not be in the tech startup industry per se, but it's important to at least get your mind and your environment around the type of big thinking that you want to be at one day. Are you going to surround your life, your mind, with poor people and their thinking, or are you going to start thinking and absorbing how these people think? And that's how you get there. And here's the truth, I think, when it comes down to it, these books, once you read them, you're going to come out a different way, because they think so differently than the regular person. Some of them think more about passion, purpose than anything else. Others think about giving back, helping out, scaling a business. They're not ever thinking in the mindset of dollars per hour or how do I make more money. They're oftentimes more about other things, and the money is simply a byproduct. Think about that. I'll see you in the next video. Like, subscribe, comment.